Wow, was that cool graphics or what?
A little something new. That cost me $23 to have that done.
It was worth every penny, that's for sure.
Welcome, Bernie. I know you're filling big shoes tonight. Mr. DePietro is on an airplane out to Elkhart, Indiana, where he's going to be working with one of our clients tomorrow, and appreciate you stepping into the void. It's going to be a fantastic show.
Oh, yeah, it's my pleasure for sure.
Well, there was a lot of news in the RV industry this week, the biggest of which your company rocked the industry with the acquisition of 10 of the Lazy Days outfits. And if people don't know the history of Lazy Days, they were the single largest dealership on one lot before the last recession hit, and they were doing 800. They were heading towards $1 billion in one lot, and they got up to 850 million. Then economy went up, economy went down. They had some financial issues. Some equity firms came in, and Jeff Hirsch and Ben Hirsch came to the rescue with a lot of money. And they're going to keep the Lazy Days name on the Seffner property. 3 of them are Airstream properties, and the rest have already been converted to Campers Inn. So I don't know if you can see this, but let me see if I can do this the right way here. In May of 2001, I did a whole cover story on the 25th anniversary of Lazy Days, 2001.
Oh, wow.
So they're coming up basically on their 50th, different owners and what have you. And Campers Inn, which was founded in 1966 in Acton, Mass, in a little house owned by Art and Fran Hirsch. And they they were disappointed at trying to buy a camper, and they went home and said, we can do this better than the other guys. And they had taken the family with them, and Art was still dressed in his machinist uniform, and they talked down to him and didn't treat him right. And he went out and bought a couple of trailers, stuck them on the front lawn, called it the Neshoba Valley Trailers, and the rest is history.
60 years coming up in just a few weeks. Yeah,
that's exactly right. Yeah, 60 years. Yeah. So we got a great guest this morning.
Or this evening.
This evening. Yeah. This is live. What are we talking about?
Yeah, that's right. We're not pre-recorded. It's not the Letterman show.
I want to bring him up quick because he always has so much to say. We always run out of time. But any public service announcements or anything you want to say before I bring Scott up?
No, just real excited about this, acquisition with Lazy Days. I've had a lot of contact with many of the employees that, from those stores that reaching out to me and on LinkedIn and things like that. So it's going to be great to kind of get to know all these folks. And, they come from a similar background in general, that it's all been family run and, a lot of tenure with the employees, just like Campers Inn. So can't wait to see what they have to offer and how we can learn from them and vice versa. And hey, who knows what's going to happen with Campers Inn.
I know that Jeff wants to restore Lazy. That's why he kept the name. Wants to restore Lazy Days to its what I wrote about 25 years ago. That was the Walt Disney World of RV dealerships. There was nothing like it. A single site. They had a huge parts and accessory store. They had 220 service bays. They had like 20 that were dedicated to tires, 20 that were dedicated to windshields and glass work. They had 100 salespeople on the phone talking to people all around the country. They had more golf carts than the local, golf courses in the area. They fed the prospects and visitors with free breakfast and free lunch. It was, if you were an RVer, you lived for the day that you could go down to Lazy Days and spend the entire day, because what they did was set up all the RVs. I thought this was brilliant, so far ahead of his time. they had separate village. Did you ever go, Bernie? Did you ever get the Lazy
I
Days?
haven't been there, but I've seen videos of it, and it's so they have they have what it looks to be like a campground, but they have them all plugged in and all set up. And
just going to reignite the campground. They got what they call
have a campground too. Yeah.
Yep. The Crown Club. Anybody that spends over $250,000 has their own service department and their own club and their own meals and what have you. And they set it up that it was like a campground, even the displays. So you had a Holiday Rambler display, you had a Fleetwood, you had a Monaco, you had Grand Design. Everything was set up. And in those little campground where they had the display area, there was a shack, not a shack, a little building. And you had the restrooms in there, and you had more food in there. You could go to the refrigerator and have a soda or water, or take a couple of hot dogs out. They had grills on them. And much like Disney World, as soon as somebody went into that house or into an RV or something, there was somebody on the spot sweeping the lot. It was just an amazing adventure. So I'm looking forward to seeing what and how quickly Camping World can bring that back. But let's see what Mr. Bahr up in Maine has to say. Scott.
Hey, Scott.
Howdy.
Welcome back, buddy.
Oh, it's great to be here.
You got a little snow on the ground up there?
We do. I think in our yard, we got about 8 inches of snow. So yeah, nice little snowfall. It's pretty cold, but we actually kind of like it because I can't wait to get out and do some skiing and snowshoeing.
Well, you're an outdoor guy. You live the life that you talk about and that you research.
I try.
Well, you do a good job. Tell everybody what your hat says. We were talking about it before we went on the air.
It's a Camping Advisory Network. It's something that we're working on to bring together people throughout the industry to connect and use the expertise of the people we know and the they're just areas of expertise that we can, if someone has a problem, we'll connect them with someone else. And we're also going to use that to gather information from people about what's going on, what they see. And we want to do this in a way that it's mostly at the professional level. It's not a guest-based, a consumer-based network. It's all professionals. And if you have a problem, if you have a question, it came about from the idea that in the work I do, in any given week, I field, I don't know, 20, 30 requests for information. And probably 2/3 of those aren't questions I can answer, but I know who can. Yep. And that's kind of what brought it about. It's like, in fact, Bob, I can honestly say that an interaction I had with you a couple of years ago is what prompted this. My sister had bought an RV. It was a horse trailer, fifth wheel, with an RV, and she had a problem with the shower, and she kept going to a local place where she was at, trying to find a part for her shower. And I remember I contacted you, and I said, is there any way you can help? And you were like, yeah. You immediately said, gave me the name of this person that she could get in touch with in her area, because she's in southern Michigan. And she made one phone call and had her problem fixed.
Hey, Scott, could you just clarify, is this going to be B2B kind of communication, or is it going to be, professional to end user, or a little bit of both? Would it be something like a new campground owner might reach out to you to get some information about certain features or whatever, development? Tell me a little bit.
It's going to start off B2B primarily. We'd like to bring in the B2C part of that to allow people to actually get in touch with experts. The ramp up on that's going to be a little bit longer because it's going to be a little bit more involved just because of volume. So we're not prepped for that just yet, but initially it's going to be a B2B.
So it'd be a good networking kind of hub for a lot of people in the hospitality, outdoor hospitality industry.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Wow, that's great.
I hope that somehow we find a way to include dealers in that, because I think it would foster the community. We know that there's a disparate gap between a lot of dealers don't talk to campgrounds. A lot of campgrounds don't talk to dealers. But by the same token, we know that we have information that we can help the campgrounds with, and campgrounds have information that they can help us with relative to demographics and what the customers are asking for.
Absolutely. They're great resources in both directions. So absolutely.
For sure. Hey, should we talk a little bit about the people watching us tonight? We have a lot of nice guests on.
We should. And let me say something before we get into this. We've had problems the last 2 weeks. For some reason, Facebook cuts off the guest around the 40-minute mark. They're still trying to resolve that. So if that happens tonight, and if you lose, it's not on your end, it's on Facebook, and I'm hoping it doesn't happen. But we have a backup plan, so we can download from StreamYard the entire show, so we won't lose the show, and we post the Vimeo link rather than the Facebook link. So hopefully that's going to be there. You want to take a run down the list, Bernie?
Yeah, sure. So we got Walter in at 7:02.
Even Bill
was at 7:06.
Huh?
Bill was at 7:06.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm behind. Okay, Walter there. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I just act stupid, but I'm really not as stupid as I look. Anyway, Walter, evening all from Central Florida.
He's down here.
Tony Barthel, well, that was high tech. You're going to have to start charging followers. And I'm not sure who he's referring to on that, Tony. Who are you referring to?
He's talking about Facebook, I think.
Oh, no, it was earlier than that. But anyway, we've got Sandy Ellingson. Yeah, she's always checking in on us and evening all.
If we do a show that even has the word campground in it anywhere, Sandy's going to be in the audience.
She is like white on rice. Good evening from Bill Sell.
He's out there. He's behind the controls. Yep.
Wait, is this Memorex? LOL.
I remember, Walter, you and I are probably the only two guys that are old enough to remember it. Oh, Bill Sell will remember it, though.
I remember Memorex, too.
Yeah.
And then I went there looking for my first RV. She must be talking about Tampa. Yeah.
She's got to be talking about Lazy Days. Yeah.
Yeah, Lazy Days. Yeah.
That's right. They had a campground. Yep, they did. And the equity firm closed the campground, and then they stopped giving breakfast, and they stopped giving lunches, and they looked at the bottom line rather than the customer satisfaction. But Dante is still trying to find the show. It's there. It's you might have to scale down.
Open. Yeah.
Down. I mean, it's there. We're all on it.
I see it on Facebook too.
Yep. I wasn't first. Oh no, that's right. You weren't. Dante.
Finally he made
Dante
it.
figured it out. And I don't know if are you still en route to Florida, or are you already down here? I haven't heard from you. If you're down here, I haven't heard from you. And Tony says, that's fancy intro graphic.
Yeah, he was talking about the technical thing that he did.
Send me a link. Send me an email, Tony. Remind me to send you the website. That was only $23. In fact, the Christmas ones I got, they had a Black Friday special. I had two regular ones done for RV Insights and RVing in New England. And the Black Friday special was buy one and get two free. Woohoo! So that thing probably only cost me about $9, $10. So it's a great website. So I'll gladly send that along to you. Remember Memorex, and the comment from Walter was about Bob saying good morning, so not a live show at night. Thank you, Bill. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for clarifying my stupidity. Walter helped me. Of course, Walter helps everybody.
Yeah, he's awesome.
We're in Daytona now, have been since November 1st. All right, so you're there. Fantastic. All right, let's get back to Mr. Bahr here. And Scott, you can't have almost a show, and certainly in your business, you probably don't have any conversation where AI doesn't come into the conversation. So I think our being as astute as you are and as sharp as you are on the technology, especially research, I think we'd be disappointed if we didn't ask you what you and Cairn Consulting are doing in the world of AI.
This is really timely because we did a video just today. We do some short videos that we post on YouTube just on research. It's really kind of geeky about research stuff, but AI was the topic today, and the whole idea of what it means to be an analyst. And so essentially in our industry, AI is a tool. It brings it helps us with some tasks that normally would take a great deal of time, that are very tedious. And we use AI for that. For example, in our research, we'll ask people long form questions, and you might ask a couple thousand people this long form question. AI has the ability to go in and extract themes for us. So we don't have to read every single one of those, and then we can review it ourselves. So we verify everything, but we use it for that type of application. The other thing, and I use the AI I use is called Perplexity, and it's really designed for research. And if you have to do what I call secondary research, which is to look for research that's already been done, that someone else has already published. It could be academic, it could be in our industry, it could be me, it could be just about anyone. And you can tell it to go out there and do some deep searching on a topic that you're interested in, and it will find those sources, and it will give you the source. You can actually click on it and check it out. But it helps form the foundation of your next steps. What are you going to do? Like, what questions do you want to ask? Has someone already asked the question that you're interested in? And if they did, what are the results? And you can look at that. And you're not asking it to make up answers or anything like that. You're asking it to search the archives and find information for you. And it's a great tool for that. It's invaluable. It takes, for me, it probably saves hours and hours and hours of work that an analyst can now use their brain power to do something else with, to analyze information.
Have you looked into Notebloom? And if so, what do you think about it? Notebloom is one that it's another AI engine, but you can download your own files and search only your own files. So you could take 20 years of research and have it search just your files and find the information you want and dig deep into that. I'm starting to look into that one, and curious if you have thoughts on it.
That is one that we are in process as we speak, because this issue came up exactly for what you're talking about. We have all these years, literally taking it back to 2003, some of the research we did, and being able to go back and look at that on a specific topic is huge. I've tested it on a couple minor topics, and it's pretty nice.
I haven't tested it yet, but it's very intriguing.
It is, and it's for us because, for example, in our work with KOA, Toby will call me and say, "Hey, what about this topic? How far back can we go on this? And what are the results? And can you do it by age?" And it's like, I can, but it's going to take me a while. I'm going to have to go back and through all that stuff, and I know where it's at, but it's doing it. This provides us with the opportunity to answer that question in a matter of minutes versus hours. And so, we're absolutely in process of pilot testing it right now, and it looks like it's going to help us tremendously, and we're going to actually push that out to folks and say, this is a tool we have. If you have a topic, we can. For example, one of the things we looked at recently, and Toby has used it in some of her talks, is the spontaneous trips, not making reservations. And it's like, what's that look like historically? So we were able to go back to 2007, the first time we ever asked that question, and basically track it up until now. And to see that in 07, something like 60% of all RVers took at least one trip where they didn't make advanced reservations.
Oh, wow.
Last year, it was 9%. So that's the difference. And that was the trend. And you can see it trending in that direction. So,
oh, wow.
What a huge difference. We're seeing it reverse now, by the way, just so everyone knows that trend is reversing. The interest in it is very, very high, spontaneous trips, but it's a lot different. And I mean, when you think about that time frame when RVing, what people loved, the whole idea of, I'm just gonna get my RV and go. And,
exactly. Pick up the keys, go, and when we get close to someplace, we'll find a place.
Fantastic.
Let's check in with our resident engineer. We're getting some good points.
Someone was talking about dogs. My dogs were barking.
That was my. Was it maybe it was your dog? I'm surprised I can hear it because I know he's at the other end of the house. Okay.
Well, this sounded like a hunting dog or something.
Oh, that was mine.
That was
I have 2 hunting dogs.
Right.
Yeah, they sounded just like hunting dogs. Like, I see something fun outside and I want to go bite it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So AI warnings, not suggesting that you don't use it. Hallucinations. AI can make up facts, sources, or details that aren't real. I agree with you. Wrong answers with confidence. It may sound certain even when incorrect. Missing context, limited understanding of your full situation, bias reflects unfair patterns from training data, privacy concerns, don't share sensitive information, over-reliance. It's a tool, not a substitute for expert judgment. Correct, because the key to success is how you prompt it, the questions that you ask.
Correct.
And the fact of the matter is there are issues out on the web, certainly well documented, where they have put up the wrong answers because they either have the wrong answers or worse, they take copyrighted material. Because when they scan, they take everything. They don't say, oh, this one, Scott Bahr said this, and Bob Zagami said this, and Bernie Colleton said that. No, they just give you a bunch of answers. And a lot of times, there's a couple of lawsuits out there right now that they're getting sued for putting up copyrighted information. And there is a movement within the industry to have them license it, almost like they do with recordings and records, and pay these people. There's got to be a way to pay people when there is a violation of copyrights, which we don't have right now. Does that, especially in your case, Scott?
Like the music industry, you should be able to do it with information as well.
Yeah, but Scott, we have so much research. I mean, how much of your information winds up out there without proper consideration and recognition, acknowledgement of the source of the information? So speak to that a little bit, Scott.
It's a big problem because I've run into this and I've actually confronted people about it where they'll actually sell the compiled information. They'll use AI to compile information from a bunch of reports, whether it's us, someone else, and they'll bring it all together and then they'll sell it. They'll resell it. We had that issue once, and we got the legal system involved, and they closed up their phone in Chicago, and we traced them. It was a group out of India that was doing it, and they were compiling information. They were reselling the reports that we do for about $5,000 a piece.
Oh,
I was a little jealous, to be honest with you.
You're gonna raise your prices.
Yeah, no kidding. And it was the attorney asked me, he's like, "Are you sure this is yours?" I said, "I've been doing this for a long time." I said, "I know my writing when I see it, and that's my writing." It's like, I know what it is. I can show you those source documents.
Right.
I know Walter said perplexity includes citations. Walter, that's exactly why I use it, because I can click on those citations and check it out. It's not perfect, but it does that, and that's an important quality check.
Let's talk a little bit about the trends that you've been seeing lately, because being at a dealership, I see the customer base changing dramatically, and I'm wondering if, as a whole industry, that it's going the same way that I'm seeing. So I'll tell you quickly what I'm seeing. I'm seeing like less sales, higher average cost of sale, demographic shift away from, people working 9 to 5, either blue or light blue collar type work. And then a lot of the sales going into people that are upper middle class and higher. And that's why you're seeing like this big boom in class Bs. You have younger folks that are making a lot of money in the tech industry or whatever it may be, and they're spending more money. But the people that typically that husband and wife working, 2.5 kids with 2 hunting dogs, out there trying to buy an RV, having trouble doing that. So that entry level product has been kind of getting ignored somewhat.
Well, it's a good point, Bernie, because you see so many of these studies now that Gen Z, they want to have their own world. They're social, they're mobile, they can work anywhere. But
Right.
the other side too is they're not getting married. They're not buying houses. The average age of a person buying a house today is 40 years old. And so there's this whole demographic shift that's going to be with us for a while. This is,
there's more people living in them too. Yeah, like really
have
living in them.
Impact on certainly RV sales. How are you translating that to the research that you're doing with respect to the Gen Zs and losing a lot of families that could be potential RV buyers, Scott?
Yeah, what we've been seeing is exactly what you're talking about. There's this split with the folks who the higher upper middle income who are buying the more expensive RVs, and then it seems like the bulk of the sales are coming from lower down the scale in terms of cost purchases, because they can't really afford some of those the higher cost RVs, but they still want an RV, and they still want to the desire is there, and that's one of the things that we keep tracking, and we're trying to find our leverage in there, because the actual desire to RV is still high. People still want to do it. But it's not easily attainable for them right now, and
Right.
that's what I'm hanging my hat on. My new can cap is that as long as people's attitudes are fairly, and the attitudes in general are fairly favorable, fairly positive. The youngest group, the Gen Zers, we do have an issue with attrition within that group. We're not holding on to them like we should. And one of the initiatives we're doing this year is with a Gen Z, and we're going to do a pretty major research study on Gen Z and what we can do to bring them into the fold. We've been throwing around some ideas recently, and we're going to try to launch this the first of the year. The research, it's going to be pretty extensive, because to me, it's the biggest issue that we have to solve in our industry, whether you're a campground or selling RVs, is that generation. We've done some research with KOA that shows a very high percentage of Gen Zers who went camping last year do not intend to camp in 2026.
Now, is this part of the 2026 KOA Camping and Outdoor Hospitality report?
No, this was we do some quarterly work with KOA.
Oh,
and this was done work we just did in October, and I think that they'll probably be putting it out soon. But yeah, it's a group that now millennials are doing great in terms of camping. They're strong, and they're actually propping us up right now as an industry.
Yeah, the older millennials, not the young.
Exactly.
Yeah, like the first batch of them. They seem to be, in that good workforce. They're making decent money, but like on the other hand, though, people that age and younger, like you say, the Gen Zs that are just maybe thinking about having a kid or not even married, like Bob was talking about, they can't really afford even entry level, with the way the rates are and the prices, so it's like we're eliminating some of our normal demographic that's been kind of a consistent staple in the RV industry, that certain age group where they're just starting to get into the point where kids are a thing.
Hey,
Correct.
I want to take a little break if you allow me. But seeing that
Sure.
it's my show,
Yeah.
Do what you want.
I'll do it anyway. Where did it go? Bernie sent me a little video, and then I got something after this.
Well, here we have it, Nashua, New Hampshire, on Wednesday, December 3rd. Take a look at this beautiful scenery. Well, the weather outside is frightful, inside is pure delightful. Got no place to go, let it snow, let it snow, let it snow.
Now this, as you might not know, this is not Bernie's first time singing Let It Snow. My all-time favorite video of Uncle Bernie, is singing Let It Snow in a way that you would not normally think about. So let me
Bob.
Let me go up here and do this.
The Campers Inn in Merrimack, New Hampshire. My name is Uncle Bernie, and I'm here with cameraman Jake Gowans, who's going to be showing you around the 2021 Grand Design Solitude 3540 GK. What a wonderful camper. You folks are in for a great surprise today. Let's take a look inside. Well, the weather outside is frightful. Inside it's pure delightful. And since we've no place to go, let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. And it doesn't show signs of stopping. So I brought me some corn for popping. And when the lights are turned way down low, let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. When we finally kiss goodnight, I hate walking out in the storm. But if you only hold me tight, all the way home I'll be warm. Well, the fire is slowly dying. My dear, we're still goodbying. And as long as you love me so, let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. Anyway, it was a little smoother in real life, but I think we exceeded our bandwidth.
Yeah, it was stretching it a little bit, but that is my all-time favorite Uncle Bernie video, and that was 2021 when he hit the marquees with that one. So, Bernie, I'll let you throw out another question. I don't want to keep you out of the conversation here.
Well, I'm having trouble figuring out where I was going with the last one, and I'm just wondering if Scott remembers where we were in the conversation, because it seemed like I was leading to something pretty profound, something to do with the Gen Zs kind of getting priced out of the market, and that reflecting what 10, 15, 20 years ago was still that entry-level worker that was really wanting to go camping, with the pop-up or a small travel trailer or something like that.
Well, it's a good point.
I think that's go ahead.
Good point to what you're talking about there. So why don't we kind of segue into your outlook for camping and the industry, and the outdoor recreation, because you do a lot of work in outdoor recreation now also.
Sure, and this is kind of where I was heading with that is this group, the Gen Zers. The issue isn't just with camping and outdoor hospitality. It is outdoor recreation too. If you look at the Outdoor Industry Association, they publish a report on participation in outdoor recreation each year, and I know their research director there, and we've talked about this before because we compare notes, and it's the emergence of what we call the casual participant, which is the person who still participates, but not very much. So in the past, where we would have people who camped, took multiple trips per year, many nights spent camping, now it's declined a lot. And it's the same thing with outdoor recreation in general, and it's the same group. It's the Gen Zers. They're casual participants. They're not avid outdoors people. So we're not the only ones who are looking at this. If you're, think of it, if you're an outdoor retailer and you're selling, if you're North Face, selling adventure gear, you're dealing with this issue as well. So it's an industry-wide problem that we have to figure out how to solve, because they are going to be the adults and the drivers of our economy in the coming years. And if we don't, as an industry, if we don't do a better job of bringing them in, we're all going to be regretting it a little bit. Not to be gloom and doom here, it sounds really negative, because part of me thinks that they will come along. I think we just have to figure out how to do that, and how do we bring them in? Because the outdoor rec part of it is what I find really fascinating. I can almost understand, honestly, camping, because it involves an overnight stay. It involves a higher level of risk, whereas going on a day hike or something like that does not.
So check Walter there. He's given us his non-scientific, non-AI observation. The demographics of the KOA we stayed at during the Thanksgiving looked like every other time: tents, trailers, big and small, motorhomes, big and small, full-timers, weekenders, kids, etc. So are we not seeing that trend just yet? But your data is saying we're going to be seeing it.
Yeah, I think so, and that's great, Walter. That I'm actually happy to hear that. That because that's what we want. We want to have that kind of balanced representation out there. And
part of that evolution that happens, start with a tent, go to the trailer. Yeah.
So Dante says we have seen a lot of full-time families where the kids are being homeschooled. Mom and dad can't afford a brick and stick home. We are seeing that. There is no question. There's always that fine line, Scott, when you look in terms of the market research, because some of the research will be negative to the industry. We do see a lot of people living on their parents' property in an RV, and that's their RVing, or they are RVing full time to get away from the stick and bricks and the politics and what have you. Anything you want to comment on that?
No, that's something that's real, and something that is growing. A lot of younger people we hear from them who, for example, we've heard from people who say, I'm going to live in an RV for the next couple of years to save my money to actually buy a home.
Right.
It's a way for them to cut costs. We are seeing in the area I live here in Maine this year, and it was unfortunate. There were several instances of people, their RVs catching on fire, propane issues and so on. And in each one, the person was living either like at their parents' property, parked their RV there, or on their own lot. And that's where they were living, is in the RV there. And so you're seeing that happen.
Yeah. Go ahead, Bernie.
Yeah, we run into a lot of folks that want to live in their RV. And as well as I do, it's not just that easy in New England. It really isn't. There's a lot of diligence that needs to be done. And, these furnaces are good and designed for, the occasional warm up or a cold weekend here and there, but they're really not designed for long-term extended stay in sub-freezing temperatures. They're not home furnaces. They're not built to be, 25-year furnaces.
Right.
And to get used that much, it's just, it overtaxes these recreational, occasional equipment and trying to turn it into full-time equipment, especially if the unit's older.
Well, aren't there labels inside the coaches now, Bernie, that say this is not intended for full-time RVing. Now, full-time and traveling is a little bit different than I'm going to buy a trailer, put it behind mama's house in the backyard and plug into her electrical outlet. That's two distinctly different things. But the
Mhm.
industry
The only
is
time I've seen that is maybe on the warranty page on a website. You'll see that occasionally on a certain manufacturers. And they just think they're going to work all the time. And,
well,
and RVs don't always work all the
well,
time.
it may be that we're seeing that on park models, because there was questions a lot of times about park models being used for residential housing. So I think one of the compromises they made with the federal government is we're going to put something in there that says this is intended for recreational use, because park models are very attractive if your mom and dad got a big homestead and you got some land out back and plug into the
And banks don't want to loan to
but
a full-time
that's not
RV.
RVing and that's not camping, and the industry is very careful to make sure that we make sure what that distinction is.
Right. In our work, we really try to make the effort to separate that, because it is distinct. One is recreational, one is not.
Yeah. Walter says there are a bunch of stories about people using V4 diesel heaters. I haven't heard of those, and leading to fires and other problems. That's right. We're on our new RV Life podcast, which premiered the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. We've incorporated our camper report show that John and I did into the new RV Life podcast, and one of the issues is on heating, such as that in the RVs themselves, and the heaters and what you do on that. So outlook for 2026, Scott. Put your crystal ball out there and tell us what you think.
What I'm seeing is, I've been, looking at all the different reports that we've been seeing come out. The shipments, which I'll be honest with you, I do not base a lot of my projections on shipments. I'm looking at more sentiment. Where are people's heads at?
Also those shipments are wholesale numbers. Typically when they quote those numbers, that's just what the manufacturer is selling to the dealers. But I can tell you, running around Florida here, and I look at the General RV and the Lazy Days and the Camping World and the Blue Compasses, there's just too much inventory on their lot. It's just unbelievable. I've said this on the show many times. The campers Camping World in Fort Myers, Florida, right off 75, I swear has more inventory than all my dealers in New England put together. It's crazy. Crazy.
That's a nut to crack. Wow.
Yeah. So I think what you're going to see in 2026 is, I feel like we have the potential for some moderate growth again. Optimism. It's kind of like I tell people all the time, if you want to figure out where people's heads are at and what they're going to do, look at consumer sentiment. What's their level of optimism? Because that's going to tell you whether or not they're going to buy more than the price of gas. So right now, people are relatively optimistic. And that's being generated. What they want are things to be stable for a while. If our economy can stay stable, and it appears that at least, as long as people know what they're up against, I think what you'll see is people not spending as much on RVs, but I think they're going to buy them. I think they see it as a great way to travel and a relatively inexpensive way to travel. I actually developed a little algorithm that calculates how much it costs for different types of stays. For a family of 4 is what I based it on. I haven't pushed it out very much. I did a little bit on LinkedIn, but the idea of, what are the real costs to do some of this stuff? And if you own the RV, it's a much less expensive way to travel. And I think that's one of the hooks we can get with the younger folks too, is that in general, if you want to travel more often, buy yourself a fairly inexpensive RV, prepare your own meals. and you are going to be able to travel very inexpensively. It's much cheaper than staying in a hotel, motel, or Airbnb. And so those are the things. That's why I am optimistic, because I see that in our work, and we've seen the optimism increase a little bit as time is going on here. I think people are making adjustments in their lifestyles. I feel like the desire to get outside is always there. It's strong. When people get outside, we just have to keep getting them outside, and they'll come along with us for the ride. So I think 2026, it's not going to be a banner year. I don't, but I think it's going to be better. It's going to be better than 2024. And it'll be slightly better, I think, than 2025. It depends on where you're at, what sector you're in. Obviously, there's a lot that plays into that. But I think that, one of the things we see is that people have that desire for a more traditional, in quotes, kind of camping experience. We're seeing that there may be some movement away from glamping to a degree. They're assigning a little less value to the stay, and they want that authentic experience, that authentic outdoor experience. There's more people who are looking to disconnect. So if you're a campground and you offer like a little bit more of a rustic experience, you might see your numbers increase this year.
Well, we've got a campground out on the end of Cape Cod that is just that, a rustic environment, and they're practically sold out for all next year. It's in the sand dunes. It's, it is that, and glamping, and as we look at the economy of the country, people are watching their dollars. There's no question. And yes, they might do it once or twice, but I don't think they're going to be doing it for 20 years. My daughters do glamping, and they're paying $250 to $300 a night to live in an Airstream trailer or a glamping tent. Nothing wrong with it. It's certainly part of our industry, but it's not going to overrun the traditional campground.
No, people want that experience. When we ask over and over and over, the thing that people seek out of their experience is to be sitting around the campfire with their family and friends, roasting marshmallows, making s'mores. I mean, that's what they want.
And you don't need a fancy camper to do that. You don't need the most expensive rig.
Right. Yeah. There was a study today, and I forget who did it. I know it was posted today, that the average camper meets you might know the source, Scott, but the average camper meets 4 new friends every time they go camping.
Yeah, Camp Spot with that.
They communicate. They're in the community now. Yeah.
Right.
And that's one of the things we've always talked about with camping is that factor, the social factor, that. And by the way, that's one of the issues we have with Gen Z is that those kinds of things intimidate them a little bit. And that's where we got to work with them. Because campers are social. People walk around, hey, how you doing? What kind of rig you got there? How's that working for you?
Right. You need any help? You want a beer? But that's a critical point, because we know from all these studies, the way that we're bringing up our children, they're isolated from human intervention. They only know how to deal with people over the computer. They'll talk to you on TikTok. They'll talk to you on Facebook, but they don't know how to act in the public setting. I'm curious, Bernie, do you see signs of this when they come into the dealership and they bring their kids with them? Do the kids just sit there and play on their phones? What, from a salesperson's perspective, what do you analyze with that?
So when the kids are like Gen X, the younger Gen X or the older millennials, they actually seem to be looking forward to camping and getting out, and they want to know what's going on. But, there's definitely some even adults that are coming in, and they're so afraid to communicate because they just haven't been doing so for the last several years with anybody in real life. And they're very intimidated, and they kind of look the other way while they're speaking because they can't make eye contact. And it's just they haven't had that adaptation. They haven't had that true socialization. And they're going to have trouble identifying the benefits of RVing, but until they go and do it. And it's up to us, as dealers to kind of paint that picture and saying, yeah, it's okay to meet new people, or, to talk to a stranger at a campground, because 99.44% of people in campgrounds tend to be pretty nice in general, and they're there to either help or to share the experience with you. It's really sad to see, but I do see a trend that's turning, where they're digging themselves out of, some of these people really embraced that whole COVID era, where they were like what we're doing now is staying distance from people and just like typing out rude comments. But if you talk to them face to face, they wouldn't even stand in front of you for a second. Just to have that communication, and they're starting to get the smell for it, and I'm hoping that really continues the trend for sure.
Yep, fire out the campfire.
Yeah.
Yep, that's what you got to do. Get around the campfire.
Are you are you discovering similar things in your research, Scott, about the campers going forward?
Yeah, it's what happens with a lot of these folks is you just got to get them out there. You got to get them out there together. It's kind of like the work that Earl with Black Folks Camp 2 does. Just kind of putting people together.
Yeah, yep.
And what you do is you see them just come out of their shells. You see them experience that, and if we can do that in a non-threatening way, I think what you'll see is because that's what we see. That's one of the things that we saw, for example, is that with the Gen Z group is their strong desire to travel solo. They want to travel solo,
right?
But there's a caveat there. When they get to their destination, they're interested in socializing. So the problem is that they have that interest in socializing when they get there, but they're not sure how to go about it.
Right.
Because they didn't travel with their peer group, because they don't want to travel with their friends. They really don't, and it's very striking to see. So we have to figure out a way to get them together, and to get with other people when they arrive. And I think there's some real kind of creative stuff, some ideas floating around out there that we like are going to start to test on this to see what takes, because to me it's fascinating that I think the potential is there, because they want to travel, they want to do these things.
Well, they love traveling, right?
Yeah, and we just have to show them. It's like everybody knows, why has RVing lasted as long as it hasn't been as successful as it is? It isn't because it's because people love the activity. They love to do it. If people didn't like doing it, the industry would have died out years ago.
Well, you bring up a valid point. Bernie touched on it. So you got all these Gen Zs that they don't want to have kids, they don't want to get married, they want to travel alone, but they're digital nomads. They've been on phones and computers and tablets their entire life. They have not been exposed in the social environment. So then they hop in their RV, and all of a sudden they show up at a campground and people are friendly. The guy next door asks if you want a glass of wine or a beer, and it's got to startle them. Does this show up in the research?
It does. It's intimidating. The whole process is intimidating because they don't know how to do things like build a campfire.
Right.
And if you don't know how to do that, it's embarrassing to ask. We hear that. We know it's they don't know a lot of the basics of how to camp. So if you take some people who don't know how to make a campfire or to maybe cook over the fire or anything like that, how do you think that they're going to feel about operating an RV?
Well, I think more importantly is they don't know how to communicate. They understand that they have a problem, but they don't know that
they're too afraid to ask for help too.
Exactly,
because of those social barriers.
Hey, let's jump on something else real quick. We got 2 minutes left or whatever. But you know what I've noticed, and you can tell me if this is a trend or not, that RVers are becoming much more and more diverse. I've seen all different nationalities of folks this past camping season out at the campgrounds. And I was kind of delighted because for many years, it was kind of a waspy kind of thing to do, right? let's go camping. And I just see so many different types of
better term, Bernie. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's all changed in the last, dozen or so years. It's great.
Absolutely. It's, again, people, RVs, especially as people get older, are aspirational. 10 years ago, the youngest by far group of campers that we were bringing into the fold were Black and Hispanic, far and away the youngest groups. Those folks are 10 years older now.
Right.
And they're developing their careers, building their families, all those things. So that's what you're seeing is that group.
A lot of Asian, families too. I'm delighted to see that.
Yep. So
and
yeah.
Again, yeah.
Yep. That's fantastic. Well, look at Scott, we should do 2-hour shows with you because we can never get all the stuff inside your head, outside your head. Bernie, thank you very much for sitting in for Uncle John tonight and see how he deals with the Scott with the stuff out there. Scott, thank you very much. Any closing comments for our fans?
No, thanks for having me. Stay tuned. Go to our website, look at what we're doing. We're gonna launch some exciting stuff this year, and I'm not saying that just as talk. It's like I have a couple new metrics I've developed that I think people are gonna really like. I've tested them. I've got some new segmentation stuff coming out. It's gonna be fun. And we're kind of repositioning ourselves a little bit. So just stay tuned because it's going to be interesting.
That's fantastic.
Very good, Scott. Excellent.
So good content. It was an absolutely great show tonight. And we certainly appreciate all the contributions. And we will see you guys down the road. And I'll show you my Christmas video one more time and we'll catch up to you next week. Thanks very much, Scott.
Take care, guys.
Good hearing you.